Welcome to the Mormon Medium Podcast, where we'll talk about spirituality, the paranormal, religion, and my journey in becoming a Mormon medium. I'm Nanette Ride. Thanks for listening. Now let's go have some fun.
Don't be afraid. Close your eyes. There's a moon overhead, but the sun will rise. Blood on our lips, such a poisonous bite. The sound of our hearts go bump, bump, bump in the night.
Hello and welcome to the Mormon Medium Podcast. I'm Brad and I'm here with Nanette, the Mormon Medium.
Hey guys, I hope you had a good week.
We also have a special guest on today. Our good friend Christy has come to join on the podcast. She does past life regressions and hypnosis. And what all do you do, Christy? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Okay, so I do guided meditations, hypnotherapy, as you said, past life regressions. I also do smudgings. You clear the positive ions, which are actually a negative energy. You can clear that from spaces like people's homes and from people as well. Some people do have what I call hitchhikers, which is negative energies or even spiritual energies that are not positive that follow them around or sort of attached to them. And then I also do something called a burning bowl ceremony where after we do
It sounds like a pot ceremony to me.
It does. And
Gonna go burn a bowl.
Exactly. No, this is, we're burning white sage, and we again clear all
Why
the
did she
negative energy.
use air quotes when she said white sage? Was that...
I did not. Big fat fibber. But what I do is I have these clients who are trying to rid themselves of something that really bothers them, like a horrible memory or some anger they're hanging on to they just can't let go of. I have them write this down on a paper, and it can be just a few words to remind them of what it is, or they can write it in as much detail as they want. And then we do like a shamanic blessing, and we burn that paper. The ashes fall into a bowl, and the smoke goes up into the universe. And with our prayer, we're asking for our guides and all benevolent spirits to just take that energy away with the smoke. And the visualization helps as much as what it's doing to you spiritually and in your mind and consciously and subconsciously. It does help remove those hurts, and people are often really shocked at how much that helps them get rid of something they'd been hanging on to for way too long.
Yeah, that's like the despachos you do, Nan.
Yeah, usually on a full moon, I'll do a despacho. Mm-hmm. And it's blessings. You honor the four corners of the earth and all the elements, and then put your blessings for the coming month. All of your goals, your intentions for the coming month, and then we burn it, and it goes to spirit, into smoke, into spirit. And then we also do getting rid of all that no longer serves you on a full moon. And you write that on a paper bag, and we burn it, and it goes to. Right. And the despachos, you actually can bury into the earth too, if you're trying to plant something and make it grow. Right. So you can also do that. It just depends on exactly what your intentions are and what you want to have happen. It's kind of your choice. Yeah. But we've done that. We used to do that all the time on the farm. We'd get a big group of people that loved doing that every month. Mm-hmm. So.
And it's good to do it on a regular basis because there's always things we carry with us.
It is. Since we moved to St. George, though, it's kind of scary to think about a fire here in the desert.
Yes.
I'm not really sure how we're going to do that yet, but we're figuring it out.
Yeah, you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I mean, where there's a will, there's a way. And I think, our guides will open and reveal things to us. And whether you say it's God or the universe, things do get revealed to you in a way that, you can do them, and you have the support of those energies going forward.
Right. God, creator, universe,
same.
source.
All the same.
It's the same. It doesn't matter what you call it. It's the same higher power than who we are, but we're a part of.
Yeah. So. I've heard it said, many rivers, one ocean. So
exactly.
It doesn't matter how you get there. It's like you said, higher power or whatever, God, universe, we're all going to get there. And it doesn't matter which river you're going down.
Right.
Well, it's kind of like we were talking earlier, and you'd mentioned there are thousands of different gods that are worshipped around the planet.
Over 3,000 deities.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So,
Yeah.
but they're all basically the same
Right.
thing, right? They all, they all create, they all give blessings, they all give punishment, they all do the same thing.
Well, they're all examples for different cultures to be able to live by. So
Right.
I think it's really interesting. But you go anywhere in the world and it's the same.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been all over the world, different cultures, and it's like, oh yeah, I recognize these things, or I recognize these symbols, or
Right.
this belief system, and it's the same. I think it's just fascinating because we
It
all
is.
are the same. We came from the same place. We're all going to the same place. We're all souls having a human experience, right?
Absolutely.
Over and over and over and over until we get it right.
Yep.
We
Absolutely.
learn it all.
Well, and that
Right.
over and over and over kind of comes back to the whole past life regression
Right.
that you do. And we've had people ask us about past life regression before, which is part of the reason you're on, because you're perfect for that. And I know Nan and I have both been able to sit down with you, but
We put her to the test.
Yeah.
We did. I'm not going to just have anybody on here and tout it without it being legit. Like, we both had really good experiences.
Yeah, it was super cool. But
Really cool.
Christy, tell us a little bit about that side of things.
That came about because I kept having memories and feelings that I knew didn't happen in this life. And so many, many years ago, before I started doing my own past life regressions, I had someone who I felt was very gifted. She did a past life regression for me. And one of the first lives that she took me back to, I was like a Native American squaw. I was standing in a canoe and I was shot with an arrow through my throat. The water was icy, icy cold. And my body did fall into the water after I was shot, and it sort of drifted over to the edge of the river where there was ice above me, and I wasn't quite gone yet. And that memory came back very strong when she was working with me.
That would be
And
horrifying.
It was absolutely horrifying. And I've had neck and throat problems throughout this life. I've had tests done trying to figure out why I have trouble swallowing, and why, like, there's vertebrae in my neck that they've just completely disintegrated. And the other thing I think is interesting is from the time I was very young, I have been terrified of icy water. Like, I'd have friends. I lived up on Donner Summit in California where things get, very frozen over in the winter. And I would have friends.
As the Donner Party could attest to.
Exactly. And that's right where I lived, right where the Donner Party passed through. And I even had friends that would ride like snowmobiles across the ice of a frozen lake. And I was terrified and I wouldn't do it. Even a movie where, it's amazing how many movies people break through ice and they're floating underneath and they can't get through the ice and they die under there. And that it's just every time I see that, I just cringe, but I know now where that's coming from. And it was just interesting to find an answer to things that I was dealing with in this life that had actually happened to me before. And the idea of helping other people heal that way really appealed to me. So that's when I started studying that more and practicing it with amazing results. So yeah, it's been very successful. And I've never had a client that hasn't learned something about themselves from a past life regression.
But re-experiencing that, how do you heal that? Like, how do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So remembering it is one thing,
Right.
But how do you bring it forward to this life to heal it here?
There's a balance for that.
Well, I know that.
Yes.
But this isn't about what I do. This is about
Yes.
what she's doing. And I'm fascinated because, for example, when you're drawn to a certain area of the world, or like if you just naturally can play the piano like you're, a professional and
Right.
you're 5, or do you know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yeah.
Or like, let's say, dude, it could be belief systems. It could be, I love this kind of food. I have I've never been exposed to it, but I love this kind of food because you've been exposed before in another life and it was something that you absolutely loved and it's still part of you. But so a past life regression could bring all of those answers back, right? But what I'm wondering, and I think that that's magical and wonderful, but the painful part,
Right.
you understanding that you're terrified of icy lakes or rivers and because you died that way, how do you heal that here?
It's an excellent question. First of all, someone like you is a perfect place for people to heal from past pain, especially if they've done a session with me and they know what they need to heal. For me, I've done that through meditation and hypnosis, where I can take people back to that moment once we know what the moment is. And I always tell people that when I do a meditation hypnotherapy session, it is like if you picture your brain as a coconut, and I'm going to crack that open, and inside is your subconscious. It's been sealed away in that coconut. I crack it open so that I can pull things out of your subconscious and I can put positive things in there. So through a series of words, affirmations, promptings, I can, and you can call it subliminal suggestion, but I tell them that this was in their past. They can let go of it. I give them permission to release it from their physical tissue, from their mind, and from their spirit. And I have them visualize letting it just float away into the universe as I have them breathe out. I have them visualize a brown or a gray, like a smoke or a smog. And as they blow it out, they imagine their guardians and any benevolent spirits who are helping them at that point to just take it away, release them from it where they don't see it, feel it, and they don't need it anymore. It served its purpose. It taught them a lesson, and they can let it go. And I've had a great deal of success with that. But I think what you do is just perfectly complementary to what I do, and vice versa, because if I can uncover things about a past life, now I know I can send them to you and you can heal it on all of those levels, doing it the way you do.
How cool would that be for Nan to go, wow, you've got this trauma associated around this emotion, and then to be able to go to Christy and go, oh my God, that's why? Because this happened when I was alive at this time period doing these things.
Exactly. And
That's super interesting.
And those past life experiences are meant to teach us something. Perseverance, strength, bravery, patience. I mean, there's all kinds of things that we go through in this life, and obviously we went through them in past lives, that were meant to teach us something. And some of us need one thing more than another. I always felt like I was a very impatient person, so I kept praying for patience. I didn't just get blessed with patience. What I got blessed with was a series of horrible tragedies in my life, most of them medical. And if anybody's had any medical issues, they know you don't get answers overnight. You have to have patience. I mean, you wait 2 months to see a doctor, and then you wait another month to have some tests you need. Then you wait another couple of weeks to get the results back from the tests. Then it's another month before you get any kind of treatment. It just goes on and on. And with me, every time we would go through that whole cycle, they would find something else and we'd start again. And I became the most patient person in the world now. It's like there's not much that I don't have patience for. And it helped me a lot having 5 kids. I never once raised my voice at my kids. I never lost patience with them. So that was a true blessing. But just be careful what you pray for, because you will get it one way or the other.
I lost my shit on my kids all the time. I'm sorry, kids.
We see that all the time. But there could be, past life reasons for that too. You don't know how past lives can affect your personality these days as well.
I thought it was interesting, your past life the other day, Brad. The 2 past lives that you had have been brought forward to this life. They're things that you actually still do. In one of them, you were a provider, a really good provider, and you were also a protector. And you very much, those are the core of who you are. You're a really good provider and a really amazing protector. And I think it's cool that you learned them in separate lifetimes and that they've made you who you are. But do you remember my first past life regression? You were there.
I remember parts of it. Yeah.
Yeah. My first past
Yeah,
life
well-
regression.
Witchy poo.
My first past life regression. I was kind of skeptical, and I was with the Peruvian shaman, and he was doing the past life regression with me, and my spirit took me to I was in Ireland, and I had been widowed, and I had 2 children, and I actually was out gathering herbs with them, and I would do potions, healing, elixirs and things like
Right.
that for people in my village, and that's how I supported my children, was by doing that. But during it, all of a sudden, you know how you can, when you're under a deep meditation like that, you can hear little bits of what's going on in the room, like very faint, very far away, but you can still hear it.
Right.
I all of a sudden heard Brad say, Jesus, what is that next to Nan? and Jesus was like, you see that? And I'm like stopping, like, what are they doing?
And you were under at this point?
I'm under. I'm in Ireland, dude.
Right,
But
okay.
I'm hearing them, and I'm like pausing for just a second, and I'm still with my kids, and like thinking, what? And he's like, we'll talk about it in just a minute. And then he comes back to me and keeps going. Right. And
Interesting.
typically he would never let anyone else in a past life regression, but he let Brad in this time because I said it was fine and it was no big deal. Well, I come out, I finish it. It's probably another half hour or so and finish it. And, I come out of it, and I'm so curious. The closer I come to my body, the more curious I am as to what they're talking about.
Right. Yeah, of
I have
course.
0 idea. And I'll let Brad tell you what he saw.
Yeah, what did you see,
No,
Brad?
go ahead. You're doing a great job telling the story.
He goes, there was this ancient, like 1,000-year-old, you called her like
Just a witch.
ugly
Looked like a
hag.
like a sea hag
a
witch.
sea
you
hag
know, but-
witch that was crunched down next to me.
and just kind of melded with you.
Yeah.
While you were doing
While I was doing my past life regression.
Wow.
And he's like, so Jesus, who was that? And he said, that was Nan.
and it didn't feel like evil or awful, but it
Okay.
was hideous.
Yeah. So
Like-
apparently I was hideous in another life, but very magical. Like she was there helping bring forward my memories of the things that I used to do. All of my gifts are very strong in this life. And so I'm very attached to some of my past life Nans,
Right, yeah.
that are very, very wise. They're very old, that are very experienced and very magic.
Right.
And it was pretty cool because he saw her with his human eyes, and so did
Oh,
the
that's incredible.
Peruvian shaman next to me while I'm in a past life regression.
Right.
I'm not really sure how that works, but
Well, again, it's reaffirming that Brad is an empath, and he does have a very spiritual side, and maybe it's not totally trained and practiced, but he's definitely opened himself up to it. That's incredible.
Brad is one of those people that just goes with the flow. He's just as gifted as I am. He just doesn't sit down and doesn't like meditate and get into that state and talk to spirit, because why? He doesn't
Right.
need to. When he needs to, he will. You know what I mean? But it's not something that he just puts out there. But he is, believe me, he wouldn't be with me or be able to handle me if he weren't
Right.
just as gifted as me.
Yep.
And it's funny, we went on a double date last night with some friends, and the lady that we went out with, she does sound baths. We went back to her house, and she was pulling out like all the stuff for the sound baths.
She does sound therapy and actually trained with a shaman in Peru.
In Peru, yeah,
learning how to do
with
sound
the
therapy.
drums and
Yeah.
flutes
So cool.
and all these beautiful things. And she had like the bowls, like the chakra bowls,
yeah.
just amazing. But Brad is literally my equal half, like all the way down to our blood type. I'm O positive, he's O negative. But when she's
Interesting.
doing the bowls, I like the higher sounds, so the upper chakras, and that's where I live. I live in the upper chakras because I'm more of the ethereal plane.
Right.
And Brad loves the lower tones. And so
Right.
it's just balance. We're completely balanced. I was just blown away. I'm just like, literally in
Yes.
everything that we do, he matches me. And he doesn't always talk about it, but he sees spirit. He feels
Right.
it. He hears it. He smells it, like all of them. He's
Right.
done all of them, and he knows
Right.
how to deal with them. And it's very matter of fact. Like if we go someplace and he sees something, he's like, "Hey, Nan, I just saw this ghost at the end of the hall. Let me get a picture." Like it's not.
That's awesome.
Well, it's not something that I feel you should try and force. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen, right? And
Right.
for me, everything in that realm that I've experienced has just flowed. It's just something
Right.
that, oh, here it is, Brad. It's not something that I went out and said, oh, I'm going to do this right now.
Right.
You know, it doesn't work
Doesn't work that way. No.
And
No.
and I'm not the type of person who I have to look at it and go, I need to know exactly how this works and why this works and
Yeah.
when it's going to work. I'm just good going, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just sit back and you relax and you let it happen and you
Just
let your
open
energy
to it.
flow.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think, we have to remember too that these spirits, these guides that, and also the malevolent, the not so great spirits, they all are individuals with their own way of thinking and their own will and desire. And so that's why I tell clients, like a lot of clients come to me and they want me to basically be a fortune teller. Or people also very commonly want to speak to or connect with someone who's passed on. And I just tell them that I can put you under and we can call upon your ancestor or the spirit you're trying to reach, but they may be doing something else. They may choose not to join us. So it's very organic for me. I don't make promises, but I can't tell you how many people, when they've been deep under, have, and I will say that, and I will tell them, especially, following what I see, that someone else is approaching you now, and I can feel if they're loving and what their intentions are, and I'll let them know that this person seems to have a very familial love for you. You embrace as though you've known each other forever. Usually, I can tell if it's a male or a female energy. And as I'm going from there and I'm just picking up what I feel, oftentimes I can ask them, do you see this energy, this person? Do you feel them? Do you know who it is? And they always do. I mean, it's immediate. And then other times it's like, yes, there's someone there. I sense it's a guide, but it's not my guide. Or it's like somebody they sent in second string, and someone else is coming in who's still a good spirit and has been part of a team sort of watching over them, but it might not be someone they're terribly familiar with. But when a guide comes in who's been their guide throughout their life, they always recognize that too. And we often have people's totems or their spirit guides will enter. And they're so shocked sometimes. Like one person, it was a beaver. One person, it was an eagle. But there's all these different totems or spirit animals that will approach them and has been there to help them throughout their life as well.
Yeah, I love that. It's all about frequency though. It's all about vibration. And once we get to that quiet space where the freeway in our brain is slowed down and it's quiet, that's where spirit talks. And so you basically can get people to that space so that they can tap into their own gifts and be able to talk to the other side. And, those totems, those spirit animals, they'll come into your daily life, your alive life, if you
Yes.
just watch for them. Like we have
Yes.
tons of hummingbirds here. We have a hawk that is Brad's. Really weird little story here. I was up north and, it was so strange. My friend and I were sitting by this big bay window on her couch talking, and this huge hawk, like almost the size of an eagle, comes right down, flies right in front of the big bay window, right in the center of it, like right past us. You couldn't miss it.
Yeah.
And it goes and lands on the top of my car, on the hood of my car. And I was like, oh, Brad must be thinking about me. He must be checking on me. And I kid you not, less than 10 seconds later, he called me.
calls.
Are you okay? How are you doing? I'm like, I am looking at your hawk that you just sent. And he just starts laughing because it'll literally follow him anywhere we're at. He'll be
Right.
back east and the hawks will be all over the place.
Wow.
So if you watch for them,
Right.
your totems will show up.
They will.
You just have to look for the signs.
Yep.
Yeah. And if your totem is, a white tiger or a grizzly, you can't expect it to come walking through your door.
No.
But you will feel its energy around you. And sometimes it may be just feeling something brush against your leg and you look down, oh, there's nothing there. If you haven't worked through all of this stuff before and don't have an understanding of these things, you will just blow it off. But if you've been in touch with past lives, or you've met your guides and guardians through a meditation or hypnosis, you might feel something brush your leg and realize, oh my goodness, that's my wolf, and he's right there. And you'll feel a very protected feeling of almost like it boosts your strength at a time maybe when you need strength the most. So it is interesting. They will find a way to show up one way or the other.
Definitely.
It's interesting you would talk about that because, Nan, you used to have your totem rub up against your legs all the time.
All the time. So we were in a sweat lodge. There's a Ute chief that's in Vernal, and we love him. His name's Larry. He does every Sunday, he does Indian sweat. And it's beautiful. They'll be playing the drums and singing and doing prayers and always talking about the ancestors and things like that. And during the sweat, I had a cougar come to me, and I knew that my totem, one of my spirit animals, was a cougar. I knew, which is so funny because Brad always calls me a cougar because I'm a lot older than him.
You're a little older than me,
I'm a lot older than
but
him.
you're definitely my cougar.
You robbed the cradle.
I did. It's funny because I dated guys my age, and they said I was exhausting, so I had to get a young boy to keep up with me.
Darling, sometimes you are exhausting.
He says lovingly.
Anyways, so I saw this cougar in the sweat, and on our way home from Vernal, we're going through Heber, and there is this blind curve. And as we come around the blind curve, the car right ahead of us, it's very busy. The car right ahead of us.
Well, before that, hang on. After we got out of the sweat, you told me about the cougar.
Yeah, I did. I knew it was mine. I absolutely knew it was mine. I told the shaman too that was in the sweat with us too. And it was a really cool experience. And anyways, we come around this blind curve, and the car ahead of us hits this giant cougar, and she flies up in the air, and it was almost in slow motion. You know, when like something tragic happens and the time slows down, that's what it was like.
Right.
And I could see every bit of her go up in the air, and she was looking right at me, and she was right outside my window when she landed.
Oh my goodness.
And she looked at me, and I could feel her, and she came to the ground, and I was just, oh my gosh. So Brad, being the trooper that he was, turns on his hazards, has the shaman who's behind us turn on his hazards, and we're going over, and I'm like asking the shaman, can you save her? Like thinking he can save her. And he's like going, no. And we look up on the side. And
She was deader than shit.
She was super dead. Brad goes over and kicks her, and I get mad at him because he's kicking her. He's like, I'm not going to grab her to pull her off into the borrow pit to get her off the road if she's going to get me and she's alive.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I understand, But I was like, I immediately started to be like this. I felt this connection, and I felt like this protection for her.
Well, I'm sure when you locked eyes that it made a connection for sure.
100%. And her paws were big. Like they were as big around as my hand. I kid you not. She had a couple of little babies that were up on the side. And the shaman, he came over to me and he goes, she's your cougar. She's yours. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And so I often feel her brush against my legs. Especially when I'm either upset or I'm working and it's really intense, I can feel her all around me, and she's very much a part of me.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Sad that she gave up her life.
She did, yeah.
To be,
But her spirit stays with you.
Yeah, her spirit's very much part of me. And oh my gosh, her teeth were huge. Remember that?
She was a big lion.
Yeah.
She was really, really beautiful. But
that's
anyway,
incredible.
Spirit animals.
Yeah. It's interesting. And when you are connected to your spiritual side, it's interesting that people who aren't connected blow so many things off as just coincidental or meaningless. But once you connect with that spiritual side of yourself, nothing is meaningless. Nothing is really coincidental.
Right.
Things are designed for us to give us messages, to teach us, to remind us. And I've told you before, Nan, but my oldest daughter died tragically about 2.5 years ago, leaving 2 little boys behind. And the day that she died, I heard the news. I actually got a telephone call from her dad telling me she had passed. And when I got home, and I was living in kind of in the suburbs in Sacramento, there wasn't much wildlife around us at all. It was kind of a concrete jungle place. And I had never seen, well, I saw occasionally birds, but very seldom. But I'd never seen a white bird. And when I came home that day and I was distraught and I was trying to get my key in the lock of my door, I looked down, perfect white feather laying right there on my front porch mat.
I love it.
And and I immediately got just tingles, and I just knew it was Mandy giving me a message, and that, my physical body's gone, but I'm still here, Mom. The interesting thing is she's continued to send me these feathers ever since, and I will find them in the oddest places. I've even found them, as crazy as it sounds, in my house.
Wow.
Like, how could that have gotten in there? I mean, it just, things that don't make sense. I can't find a rhyme or a reason except that it's miraculous. And she is connecting with me. And it brings me a lot of peace. And I've saved every one of them. So I have this collection of white feathers now. They're always white. And
I love that.
Yeah. So
How
it's
cool.
pretty cool. It is pretty neat. That's one of the many ways I stay connected with her. But there's other times where she's actually come to me and wanted to communicate or just give me some peace, especially the times when I'm hurting the most, and I'll get some comfort from her. And it's funny, when I do feel her, I smell her first. And, as a mother, you probably know what I'm talking about. I don't think fathers do as much, but when you hold your baby,
I don't
as a
know. My
newborn-
kids got pretty stinky. Like, that teenage, well, not even teenage boy, that 10-year-old boy smell after they've been
Okay.
playing all day, and they
Okay,
come
they
in,
do
their
have a
head's just
smell.
nasty. Yeah.
But,
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
All right.
I know
so
that smell.
I'm not really talking about that stench. But when we first hold our newborn babies, we just inherently, we smell them, we hold them, we feel them, and they have a very organic smell. And every child had a different smell to me. And I would smell it, when they got older, especially right after they got out of the shower, I'd smell it on their neck. So I was always grabbing them and sniffing their necks and their ears, and they
Like
would
Joe Biden?
not in a creepy way.
Christy Biden.
Yeah, that's right. All he's doing is just sniffing their energy up. It's interesting though, because they called it snuffies, because I'd come up to them and the sniffing thing, and it would give them goosebumps, and their knees would buckle. But then it got to be a family joke. It's like, I'm going to give you a snuffy, and I'd tackle them and sniff them.
Oh, that's
But
cute.
when I feel her energy now, the first thing, I smell like a waft of her energy and what she smelled like. And then there's like an electricity. And then I feel her full, just as if she's standing by me. It's pretty beautiful.
And
What a
that's
blessing.
a heavenly hug.
It definitely is.
People think that I'm crazy when I say that you can get a heavenly hug. When they pass,
can.
you absolutely can have them come into your energy and feel them, smell them, hear them. The whole thing.
Right.
It's just not physical, but it's the same thing.
Right. Yeah, for
Like-
sure.
You can even close your eyes and see them.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. And, with my work with past life regression, too, you have to realize that when you leave this life, this wasn't necessarily your last life. I mean, you could have many more to come.
Yes.
And so that's made me think about Mandy quite a bit, wondering if and when she will be reincarnated, and could she have been now? And maybe she was born to someone now. I don't get a feel for that. I need to probably do some more work on that. But I think it's very possible that she could have been. But even still, our spirits have capabilities that we can't comprehend in our physical body. But she could have been born to another body and another family, but I still believe their spirit can reach us and reach out to us. They usually wouldn't know it, but it's a subconscious part of them where the spirit kind of can split off.
Right.
And they still have their physical body, and their spirit is still present in that body, but part of them subconsciously splits off to see people from past lives.
I think that 100% makes sense.
Right.
And we're born to spirits or soul families. So it's the
Absolutely.
same, couple hundred people that we're born to, and we keep seeing the same people over and over and over and experiencing each other in different lives over and over and over again. So it would only make sense that she'll be reincarnated into your soul family, and it may not
Right.
be into your bloodline family, but it could be into a soul family that
Exactly.
you're going to run into in this life, and you'll know it. Your soul will feel it
Sure.
and know.
Yeah, and we didn't do this so much when I did Brad's past life regression, but with you were able to recognize some of the people in one of your past lives who there were some family members in the past life that you still know in this life. And
In this life, yeah.
They've taken on different bodies, but because they're part of your soul group, our soul groups, like you said, get born around each other in the same place and time, because we're close. And someone who was your mother in a past life could be your son in this life.
Well, there's also karma that has to be paid, within that soul family in each different lifetime. So, for example, my mother could have been another type of, soul in my soul family that I
Right.
interacted with. And the way things are in this life brings balance to that karma.
Right.
So it's so fascinating, but if you really look at it, it makes sense.
It does. And it's like you said earlier, I think people need to ask themselves, does this resonate with them?
Yes.
And I'll have to, I don't know why right now, I can't recall it, but there is a book I've read several times, and it talks just about that, about soul groups and how we're all connected. And the author talks about soul groups sort of like being bunches of grapes, and all these grapes might be growing on one little clump, and then over here there's another little clump of grapes and another little clump. And sometimes someone in our soul group or our clump of grapes might incarnate with someone with a nearby soul group and a grape from that group, but you'll still recognize each other on a spiritual level. So that's oftentimes people that we meet and we feel like, oh, I've known you before. And I got that feeling with you when I met you, Nan, that we were connected somehow. And so whether or not we're in the same soul group or, neighboring soul groups, but I do definitely believe that when you get that aha moment, you meet someone and you've known them. You can even have it with your children where you're more familiar with one when they're born than another.
Right.
So yeah, just pay attention to that and think about it next time you meet someone who you feel like you've known forever. You probably have.
I so love that. So if you would like to set an appointment with Christy, you can go to Karma Christie, Karma Christie with a CCRISTIE at yahoo.com and set an appointment with her. She can do remote work as well as in-person stuff. Super powerful. And you can also call her, and we'll have all of those notes and links and everything in the show notes.
Yeah, thank you. Do you have any last comments you would like to make, Christy?
No, I just wanted to say I'm also on YouTube as Karma Christie. And Instagram as well. And I do have a Facebook group called A Meditation Celebration and a website by the same name, A Meditation Celebration. If people are looking up any of my links, though, Christie is spelled without an H. That throws everybody off. But yeah, if you've got those in the links, then, by all means, give me a call. I do free consultations. And I just love meeting new people that are interested in this.
That is awesome. Yeah, we'll have all of your information in the show notes. So any of you out there who want to connect with Christy, please do so. She's an amazing resource. Thank you so much for listening.
Thanks for joining
and Christy,
us.
thank you so much for being on with us.
Thank you. It was really fun. I appreciate it.
So final thought today, realize that you are eternal. You are divine and you are pure magic. If you want to get more in touch with your spiritual self, that is your birthright. So you're a soul having a human experience. So remember that and tap into your spirit and get into your spiritual experience so that you can start healing. It really is empowering and it really is a beautiful, sacred place. I hope you have a great week and we will see you
On the other side of the veil.